not of your making. Your efforts and sacrifices have not gone unnoticed. Thank you. Now, Chief, there have been accusations that the department has assisted ICE with immigration raids. Can you explain the difference when LAPD may be required to respond to a true emergency health call versus actually assisting in immigration?
Yeah, I think we've tried to be very clear all along, and it goes back to 1979 with change in the policy manual at that time. It's been the policy since that time that we don't engage in civil immigration enforcement. That's just not what we do. So as we've tried to be as clear as we can to provide a reduction in the anxiety in many of our communities, we have maintained our posture. We'll continue to maintain that posture as we move forward. In the case of the immigration enforcement that's being done by the federal agencies that you see out there, ICE leading the way, if there's an incident where somebody needs help, somebody is being assaulted, it doesn't matter who they are, the LAPD will respond. That's the situation.
My name. He just used my name like he knows me.
Okay, and you're disrupting things.
Enforcement for immigration, but we are there to provide a level of public safety for everybody in the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you. And yes, if anyone in the city ever needs help, LAPD responds. It doesn't matter who they are. President Southers, if it's okay with you, I know that the Inspector General has been meeting with community leaders. Can I ask Mr. Baragan to quickly explain what his office is hearing and the ongoing role their office is playing?
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioners. The Office of the Inspector General has been actively monitoring the situation and engaging with stakeholders in the community, including civil rights, immigrants' rights, and faith-based groups, among others. Many of their concerns relate to the perception of LAPD assisting with immigration raids and the use of force on protesters, as well as First Amendment right concerns. The OIG will continue to review all serious uses of force by LAPD officers and remain a point of contact for any complaint of misconduct against an LAPD employee. As a reminder, complaints can be filed anonymously. Thank you.
I have a couple of other questions, but I want to be mindful of my time and my commissioner's time, so please.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez-Gordon.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I think that the Commissioner Shields has expressed many of the sentiment that I share with her. Chief, I want to thank you for your report, and I know that there's a lot more that you will be reporting in the future, and we all look forward to that. As for peaceful
Hey, everybody, sorry I can't respond to the chat.
I want to encourage those peaceful demonstrations to let your voice be heard. Our city is going through a lot, and I think that this is a historic and a watershed moment for our city. We need to be vigilant, and we need to be protective of those that are affected. For those that are disrupting and causing chaos and are not putting forth the message that our community wants to put forth in light of the raids in our city and the arrest in a manner that is totally unacceptable. I tell you that it is unacceptable to loot, to hurt our city, to hurt our officers, to hurt others, peaceful protesters. That is not the message of LA. We are not burning down. We don't need what we see in our city in a massive amount of destruction.
Yawn.
As for the comments of the Inspector General, I thank him for visiting different community groups and agencies that also are very concerned about the conduct that we have seen in our city. Thank you very much, and I concur with you as well. Thank you.
Commissioner. I made my comments in my opening remarks, and I'm not going to get into, as we discussed, the details of a number of incidents that were particularly disturbing. So what I'm going to do is we'll move to item number 3 on the agenda, public comment.
Can I ask just one more question, Chief, really quickly? One thing that I've heard about, given that the officers have been kind of doing round-the-clock deployments, and given the numbers that we have, how are we dealing with officer fatigue and others?
Yeah, now that we're demobilizing, officers will go back to their regular duties, their regular time off, and our hope is to be able to get them the breaks they need to be able to recoup, recover, and be able to get back to a more healthier lifestyle in the days ahead. My hat's off to them for the sacrifices made by our officers and their families through this whole time.
Thank you. Now move on to agenda item number 3, public comment. Madam Secretary, please announce the first speaker.
The first speaker is Jonathan Foster.
Lord Jonathan Foster, may the Holy Ghost come into your heart. And so today on Malcolm Gus, I don't have a problem with that. Kalanche, she didn't supply her replacement, and so that's got to change. So the only thing I wanted to say about the riot is addressing the main problem with the LAPD takes changing the city charter and changing qualified immunity with everything connected to it. So throwing chunks of solid concrete at the officers isn't going to change these aspects of Los Angeles. So I wanted to talk about the quote-unquote unfortunates. Rosario Mack, Wilbur Blanco, Takar Smith, Linda Becerra Moran, and Yang Yang. And not to lose focus right now, there's a lot of distractions, right? And so this mentally ill murder is still going to go on. I call it the unfortunates. It still needs improvement here, and I guess I'm so this one here.
Either the training's wrong, but when people in the same circumstance with the same training respond the exact same way at the same time, I can understand that.
So he just okayed that they could shoot Wilbur Blanco 10 times. Huntington Park shot a double amputee 10 times. I've seen this on Dr. Rashid Ricky, We the People, civil rights lawyer, and Audit the Audit on YouTube. So it's taught me a lot about this. So what I wanted to get back though was about Yang Yang. Okay, so they went in. They told Yang Yang put the knife down. If you go back and listen to the recording, Yang Yang said, "All right, put the knife down. Put the knife." Oh, he said, "All right," and then they shot him. Go back and listen to the recording. Yang Yang said, "All right." It's not the police officer saying all right. Yang Yang said all right. He was starting to reply. And they already know we're dealing with a mentally ill person. We've done this since 1970, since I was born. We've been blowing mentally ill people right into death. And so who is going to stop this? Are you going to become legendary? I've given you the opportunity to become legendary. Anybody want to step into that? Right. So, and then they let Yang Yang bleed to death. They didn't call the medics, right? So this is really tough, and I think that we can improve here. We need improvement here, right? So there's a lot of riots going on, but they're going to do this next week, next 2 weeks, next month. This is going to keep coming up. So the training's got to change, right? And I think that maybe if smart people got in and redid this, maybe we would mentally, murder the mentally ill.
Thank you.
Next, we have the agenda item.
Hello, good morning. All items, please.
3 minutes.
Commissioners, just days before these riots began, I released a full report found at defendlap.org outlining LAPD's readiness issues, broken command structure, and lack of frontline support. I know each of you received a copy in chief. I know you read it too. What happened last week was not a peaceful protest, it was a riot, and based on accounts from those on the ground, your own employees, the LAPD, failed to respond effectively. Not because of the officers, but because of leadership. We didn't respond when we should have or in time. Officers were attacked with rocks, bottles, and explosives, and faced that violence with inadequate equipment, little support, and indecisive leadership. Starting Monday, the breakdown became undeniable. Every LAPD radio frequency is recorded, go listen to them. Their confusion, hesitation, and failure in leadership. Long gaps of silence, airship pilots making repeated pleas for help and direction only to hear nothing in return. The incident commanders were lying to officers, telling them arrests couldn't be made due to a lack of jail space, when in fact hundreds of beds were available. They put politics and optics ahead of officer and community safety. The moment protesters started attacking officers, the situation should have been shut down. Why on earth, Chief, would you agree to allow your officers to take bottles, rocks, and explosives thrown at them for hours on end? The mayor was grandstanding that there were no arrests. That's because she ordered it. That delay put lives at risk and surrendered control. The fact that Mayor Bass was physically stationed at the command post on that first Saturday is not just inappropriate, it's deeply concerning. Civilian oversight doesn't mean tactical interference. I don't care if she bought everyone El Pollo Locos. She has no place inside command post all day with her staff. Mayor Bass, City Council, and you, Chief, you created this mess. If you want to get ICE off the streets, then give them access to the jails. Why were officers scrambling for gas masks and others issued expired masks? That's not miscommunication, that's negligence. You could shut down many of these protests by arresting those who blocked vehicles for false imprisonment. That's a crime yet no one's educating the public or council.
Not yet. Hoping to meet Little Dusty.
And politicians tipping off the public is obstruction of justice. Start saying that and start enforcing it. We have pepper ball guns, sting ball grenades, and full stingray dispersal kits sitting in storage unused because leadership is afraid of political optics. Officers are getting hurt while command staff try to look measured on camera. I've spoken to supervisors proud of their young officers. They were afraid and still stepped up, but they hesitated, not because they didn't recognize danger, but because they've been conditioned not to act. They fear leadership more than the threats in front of them. Sanchez, Gordon, and Garcia, you showed up on Tuesdays. You show up on Tuesdays and leave. This position demands more time and a real understanding of the complexities of law enforcement. You each have your own agenda. You should all resign. If you want to enforce the department's stuff at the top, then stop pretending to matter at all. Thank you.
The next speaker is Baca Tanaka.
All right, good morning. Chief, think I'm trying to share something about what I learned from the criminal justice courses. My professor told me that when you having your local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and federal law enforcement, when all three agencies at three different levels of law enforcement are having a same goal, that is how you provide the best result of your law enforcement. But right now, what I'm seeing under the mayor, under your police commissioner, it seems like you are dedicating a huge amount of your effort to go against your law enforcement partner. So my concern is, in the future, thinking about that, if you continue to refuse to cooperate with the ICE, with any federal law enforcement agency, in the future, when you having an active shooter, mass event, massacre event, whatever that, when you are asking the federal law enforcement partner to help you, you already burned the bridge. How are you expect them to help you if you are refusing to help them? But I understand it's not up to you, it's up to your mayor and up to your commissioner. Second of all, I've heard several of our commissioners talk about peaceful protest. I want to challenge, I want to invite every single of the commissioner who talking about peaceful protest. Why don't you go there on the street by yourself? Because I went there. I have witnessing that people, so-called rioter, you call it protester, I call them rioter, throwing bottles at LAPD officers. I have seen that the officer giving them 5 times warning, 10 times warning, they refuse to disperse, they refuse to leave. I have seen that somebody just out of nowhere taking over the street, standing right there without doing anything. And then all of those behaviors, so-called our police commissioners and our mayor, our city council, call it peaceful protest. So next time you call it a peaceful protest, why don't you go there? Because I was there, avoid several bullets of the LAPD, so I know it was never peaceful at all. Third of all, I want to ask our Chief McDonald that I encourage you to watch. I think it's 3 or 4 days ago. There's a joint Florida Sheriff press conference. I want to quote you something. The Florida Sheriff said one thing. Said If you spit to our officers, I will make sure you end up in hospital before you end up in jail.
Did you
If
sign up to
throw
talk?
an object
No, you
to our
did.
officers,
I know,
I
but
will
did
make
you?
sure
No,
you
I
end
thought
up
you
in
guys were gonna
hospital
talk for
before
me.
you end up in jail. If
I'll
you're
talk.
pointing
Then
your
I'll stay
weapon
out
at
of it.
any one of
Okay.
our officers, we will make sure we kill you. So I just want to know that there's a reason Black Lives Matter, looter, rioter, criminal, they can never do this in Florida. And you know exactly the reason why they can only do that in LA, they can never do that in Florida. Thank you.
Hello?
What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please? Yes, I'm listening carefully to what Souther said. He said this is a crisis that LA did not ask for. In reality, you have been asking for this crisis, the crisis of lawlessness. Even here in the police commission meetings, we've seen this and I've commented on it numerous times. Bad behavior, violations of rules, violations of the law are not met with serious action. When you do not have consequences for crime, you get more crime. When you don't have consequences for rioting, you get more rioting. The false narrative that's been put forward is a disgrace. And what is that narrative? First of all, I should be doing their job. That's what the American people voted for. They have a right to do their job and not to be attacked either by our politicians or not to be supported by law enforcement, LAPD. Everybody knows Special Order 40. Everybody knows that LAPD is not involved in immigration enforcement. But when people come out and they obstruct ICE, attack ICE, and we've all seen it numerous times in a very serious degree, then arrests have to be made. It is unacceptable, but this behavior has been accepted and tolerated. Going back to when the St. Paul de Serra statue was torn down at Olvera Street and there was no LAPD response. Who was behind that? Was that Mayor Bass making a phone call to the chief, to the captain, to the watch commander, telling them to stand down? Mayor Bass has a history of ordering the LAPD to stand down to the point where crime and progress is being witnessed and not acted upon by the LAPD rank and file. I know they're frustrated. I know that it's not them. It's the lack of leadership at the very top. The fish stinks from the head, and it's a bass, and that is the problem. Souther's mentioned the sovereignty of the state of California. What about the sovereignty of the United States of America? When people cross the border illegally, that is a federal misdemeanor crime. I quoted it here. Things need to be enforced. 287G program. Put ICE in the jail and have people transferred peacefully in a controlled environment. I second everything that defending LAPD said. There needs to be an investigation as to why there's a lack of response in many instances. We've seen crime go unabated. The violence, the graffiti, it has been a disgrace, and things need to change. I support law and order. I support the rank and file. I do not support looking away when crimes are committed. We need more ICE, more force, more arrests, and federal charges. Thank you, and God bless the LAPD. And God save Los Angeles.
The next speaker, please, Nayeli Miso.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. First time doing this, so allow me to thank everybody, and I'm a little nervous. Everybody, oh yes, everybody who has made an effort to keep our city safe, to keep us together, to keep families together. I want to thank everybody who's been part of that. Thankfully, my family's still safe. My family's still together, but I know that many people are not. Many people are hurting. I want to look for solutions with you guys, so please tell me what the people can do so that we can keep families together. That's my prayer for today. I want to know who to call, right? When my mom pass papers is not being snatched away because they decided suddenly that's the law. So please, if anybody has any ideas, I'm listening. That's the whole reason why I'm here. Yeah. I think that's my time. Looking for resources, guys.
You got 2 minutes.
So yes, I would love to know what people we need to knock on, whose door we need to knock on, who we need to talk to make sure that our president does not violate the Constitution any longer with our own elected officials, with their people, with any, like, I want to know what we can do. I'm happy, I was part of the peaceful protesters. I can't be mad at people, because they're angry. I know that I would want to open the gates of hell when my family was taken. I would want to go looking for them, So, yeah, you guys can help. I would be grateful.
Thank you.
I did it the right way. I did my effort. I paid my taxes at work. I helped my community. I want to thank you guys for helping yours. I'm just really looking for solutions here, guys.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning, what items would you like to speak on?
All items if I can, please.
Take 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. I just really sincerely, on behalf of the community, would like to thank every single LAPD officer and every law enforcement officer that was out there. Chief McDonald, we know we have the best in the world. We know the restraint these guys held. We know how they keep our neighborhood safe, and it was absolutely heartbreaking and heart-wrenching to see these officers getting ambushed, getting overwhelmed and outnumbered, and the officers that were over the freeway bridge for hours. Those buffoons stood on the freeway bridge throwing rocks and fireworks and other things while the officers were trapped under there. Absolutely unacceptable. Chief McDonald, when an officer is ambushed, when this happens, you have to get scorched earth. This is not okay. These officers were worried about going home to their families and their newborn babies, their parents. Something more needs to be done. Please protect these officers that are out there risking their lives every day. To follow up on the other gentleman, the police chief in Florida held up 2 pictures. We know the difference. This is a peaceful protest. This is a riot. This is peaceful marching. This is looting. Enough of the excuses by saying, we know we have some bad apples. No, Mayor, these are not bad apples. These are paid agitators. These are paid criminals. And these are paid idiots that wreak havoc on our city. And God bless the people in downtown and the businesses that are losing money. Downtown is a beautiful place to eat, to walk around, to take families. They've ruined us. Chief McDonald, I urge you, please be your own person, which you are. I've heard you in a couple of interviews and you are fantastic. Appreciate you. Please support these officers. If one bottle is thrown, if anything is tossed at them, bricks, bottles, anything, you know what? It has to be nipped in the bud right
Hey, Nora,
there.
I have to do the audit Ellie whisper
It
thing.
was too late, and the riots continued and they got bigger. Peaceful protesting is okay, but what happened the last few days, not just, LA was the worst of the worst, because they can get away with it, because it's been left for so long. We were a disgrace around the country and around the world. And the fireworks, I saw one video, an officer looked up and said, run, as he's looking up. It was like a bomb coming down on there. God bless the LA.
Next speaker, please, Mr. Herman.
your ears.
Donald Trump made it happen. He made it work while your mayor, your elected officials stood there with their hands between their legs while poor Jim was told not to do anything. Imelda Padilla, a councilwoman, told the chief of police to his face, "You're gonna do what I tell you to say, chief." No. There's a distinction between Trump, LAPD, and the sheriffs. Fuck City Hall, fuck the mayor, and fuck their stupid policy, practice, and pattern.
There are children in the room.
Yeah, I'm a child, and I'm offended that the goddamn situation of motherfuckers doing these type of shit continues. Right, Southers? I'm an American, Native American, motherfucker. And damn shame am I gonna stop and prevent. No, I'm gonna enforce. I'm an enforcer, Southers, not a pussy or a twat. I'm a real man with balls like Donald Trump, 45, when I voted him into office. And look at what he's done, an excellent job with Ice Ice Baby. Now, if government in Washington cares about illegal immigration, then do something about it. Fuck Alex Padilla. Fuck Jimmy Gomez. Fucking morons. And if anyone cares about immigration, especially today, then stop using people as pawns, as slaves, taking your kids to school,
Thank you, Danny.
feeding your kids as they babysit, guarding your fucking homes. That's nonsense. When I sat in a federal court with David O. Carter and heard the CAO talk about homelessness, fuck Matt Zabel, fuck the city of Los Angeles, and fuck LASA, and the 4 fucking bitches of the board of supervisors that made me homeless. It's your job and duty to do what we, the public, demand. And in my closing argument, for the record, it's right here in my hand for you. All about homelessness. God bless America. God bless Trump. Thank you, 70-year-old Donald Trump, because that other dumbass Biden did shit.
Thank you.
Next we have Betty Lane.
Excuse me.
Good morning.
Good morning, what items would you like to speak on?
I'd like to remark on Chief's report, agenda items, and public comment, please. Okay, first off, I appreciate Chief's report over everything that LA has been going through. It breaks my heart of all these negative protesters. I also support all the donation items on the agenda. Now, Chief, I've gone over this before, but I'm gonna do it again. When you have an upper command that has no common sense, though is very, very smart, they need to be in a strategic group such as the new Public Safety Metro Police Department. You know, when first division, it was, I had told Chief Troy at the time, the issue with the gang unit was out of revenge. And that was back in September 2024. And the truth will come out if you'd only look at an internal review. It was revenge, but he didn't listen. There are times when people from the outside looking in know what they're talking about and how to fix it. those who caused this mess have already been terminated as they should. The upper command needs to be reinstated and back at the division where they were respected, appreciated, and loved. Morale needs to come back. Who has made a big difference in connecting with the community for the better? Please, please do the right thing and fix it. The answer where very smart people in command, they need to be where they're helpful. Even if it's going to Harbor Division. When you were first elected, I was so thrilled, and you were great answering my email until I brought up the issue of the gang unit in February. Now, for some reason, you don't answer any. Apparently, you're lacking division-making skills. God bless everybody, and God bless the LAPD.
The next speaker, please, Peter Gregg.
So we have some new faces in the room, and I'm gonna tell you the story about how I beat a criminal case that Heidi Soto, the very city attorney, lobbied against me for simply speaking out against her political allies, which are in fact the cult of Scientology. Not only did I beat that case, not only was I acquitted of the charge, right, because it was clearly frivolous, and I got her on a recording. I got her on a recording at a public meeting where she admitted that she knew it was frivolous, she knew it was not a priority, and she admitted to doing so as a favor to Scientology, because who's this guy from the East Coast that comes as a tourist all the way to California to fight the case, win it, no convictions, no crimes, no fines, no nothing, and to hold her accountable. I have visited every agency at this point and filed various complaints, and I even was denied the ability to file a police report regarding the various criminal activity, not only of the city attorney herself, but of the 5 cops involved in my case, whose serial numbers I've laid before you before, and I have new serial numbers today to present before you on people who I'm waiting for a couple of things. First of all, I filed a complaint against all 5 officers with Sergeant Lee Perry here at the headquarters. That was 2 weeks ago. How come I haven't gotten my CF numbers? Where are my CF numbers? I wrote the damn complaint for you. I videotaped the damn thing. Where's my CF numbers? I want to make sure their names are officially registered on those complaints, and I want those CF numbers. So I better see those CF numbers. Next up, we have the actual officers at the central station where I was trying to make my police report against Heidi. I haven't asked for a PPA yet, but let this be my official request for a PPA against Heidi Soto for the criminal acts to which I was acquitted of the charge and to which she committed all along the way, obstruction of justice and various other activities. So I spoke with Detective Rank 3, by the way, not just a rookie detective. Rank 3, serial number 37452, Quintanilla. He denied me a police report, essentially giving me the middle finger, telling me to go kick rocks, and will not allow me to file a damn police report. I want Heidi Soto's name tied to an instant ID, and I want that damn instant ID number, just like every other member here, and every member of the public has the right to file a police report. Not only that, but it doesn't stop there, right? There's 2 lieutenants this fool admitted to colluding with in the back to rejecting me my ability to file a police report. We have Mathis, serial number 30400, and Stetter, serial number 35831. How deep does this go? And do I need to be a cop to start holding you guys accountable? Maybe I hold you. Maybe I'll see you on the other side. Who knows?
Next we have Jill. Jill, you're on. Okay, move on to the next.
The next speaker is Audit LA.
Good morning. I want to first of all thank you for trusting us with a peaceful permit to protest peacefully the Church of Scientology. It was on Father's Day and it was absolutely amazing. It was everything I said it would be: peaceful, joyful, loving. We got people who grew up there or who were there for victims who were escaped, like Nora, Laura, Vanessa, and others, were able to come and speak their minds, sing, and be able to reclaim a part of their life, of their strength, that they can go back and say, I survived you. I survived this hellish place. And it was done with love and dignity. We have a scroll here today that we laid out.
I have a stand in my backpack, I just can't get it out.
9 names of children who survived, who have come forward as survivors, or are willing to put their name on the list. Many of them, though, are not with us anymore. They couldn't handle the effects of what they went through. Many committed suicide. They have one of the highest suicide rates. But we honor them, and we have that list we would love you to see. It's a beautiful scroll made by Liz Gale, a former Scientologist, and her brother is the first name on the list. He committed suicide, and that is the hardest thing to even think of, but she is putting her pain in her heart. The officers that were there to protect us did a great job. And they were very sympathetic, and they listened to people like Nora and Laura, who were trying to explain to them what Scientology really is. And I believe they heard us. In retaliation, though, Scientology they moved our porta potty down the street. They came to my building, knocking on my neighbor's doors, saying that I got a fraudulent protest permit or permits, and asking all kinds of questions. They even went to my door. They called my family member, my daughter, okay, and is harassing her, scaring her. I'm being fear-gated, that we're being followed. I'm having people put pictures of whoever I'm with on the internet and doxing us. And this is ever since we're just going with this permit. We were being followed and watched at restaurants. I'm going through a lot right now to have this, because I am going to speak up forever until Scientology there's no more children in Scientology, until these human abuses are done. I'm coming, and I'm begging you, Chief, please get them off of your CPAPs until these things are resolved. I thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Glenn.
Yes, hello, thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, yes, what items would you like to speak on?
All of them, please.
Okay, 2 minutes.
You all have made me come here for the first time as an adult. I have a challenge for you, this commission. Prove me wrong. I feel like you're all in your best form of performative politics. I have listened to what I've heard today, and I feel like I'm in another universe. I understand, and I want to recognize the challenge you have, and I in no way defend anyone who dropped bricks from bridges onto these cars. Those are not the peaceful protesters we're talking about. If everyone who I have an idea. When something hasn't even been labeled an unlawful I have an idea. When something hasn't even been labeled an unlawful assembly, how about you don't use rubber bullets? That would be a great first start, because then you actually allow both the people who are not going to be agitators to get furious, and those who might have been there for nefarious means who have an excuse. How do you do that? And then how do you try to gaslight people who were there? And I was there. And I am not somebody to pay protester. If there is, I'll let you know my address. You can send me the check later, because I've never received one. And I've never gone to 30 protests in my life. This is a new thing for me, because I'm absolutely sickened by the fact that while we need to protect our laws, acting like ICE hasn't arrested citizens, which they have no jurisdiction for, in masks, with no badges, with no identification, and unmarked cars, and that's okay, and that people don't have a right to fight for their freedoms, their basic rights after that, is ridiculous. And those who are claiming about law and order and are okay with that, let me see them do that to you in your community.
That's right.
Enough is enough. Prove us wrong that this commission and this city, which has bad experiences with protecting cops for way too long, is going to do differently this time. Because I can tell you right now, you're not getting away from my eyesight this time. Thank you.
The next speaker, Andrew Gravener.
All right, so let's start off with the commission president's comments. All right, I'm going to talk about the commission president's comments, and I'm going to talk about it in the volume of the voice that the commission president used to give his comments, and then yelled at me when I called him out on it. But yeah, I mean, really not much to that. All right, so we have the chief's report, which will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes at every meeting, and if it exceeds 3 minutes, we shall match the amount of time the chief takes. And regardless of how long the chief takes to give his report, everyone should be able to speak both in person and on the phone. So we hear a lot about, we're kind of starting to see a bit of an attempt by you, some of you, honestly, by of course, the chief of police, and some of your supporters who call in and things like that, to kind of rewrite how things went and to kind of make it sound like that most of the violence was coming from the protesters or things like that, which is not the case. From what everything I've seen, it sounds like most of the violence is coming from the police. A lot of it's coming from this department. And we're seeing incidents, cops are just indiscriminately firing less lethal munitions. And let's take a minute to emphasize that it is less lethal, not non-lethal. So there's still lethal. There's still lethal munitions that you're firing into the crowds indiscriminately, just because people aren't dispersing fast enough for you or something. And you don't even give them an opportunity to disperse. There was at least one incident earlier this week with the curfew where people were trying to leave and go home, and you trapped them and then arrested them for violating the curfew, even though they were trying to leave at like 7:30, and
it makes sense.
You trapped them. You've had multiple incidents where you've probably come pretty close to killing people with these less lethal munitions, with these horses. I'm going to get to the horses in a minute here.
The 4 horses.
But you're collaborating with ICE, and you're deceiving people into thinking that you're not. I've seen people from, not even in this LA, and people well-meaning who are reposting things from you. They're like, he's supporting the public, and it's not supporting ICE. You're misleading and deceiving them into thinking that you are not assisting ICE, when in fact you openly admitted at a city council hearing that you are. All right, so we have 17 automated license plate readers on the agenda today. These are the things that, send data to ICE and such, I think. You could get 17 more of them. So there's a lot that's still on the agenda after all of this. We also have a donation for a new police horse. It's those horses that you keep using to trample protesters, and I don't even have time though.
Next, call it engine 140. Caller 14003, you're on.
The next speaker is Mona M.
First of all, we got to figure out our accessibility around here. Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate the time. First of all, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chief McDonald.
I've been on every meeting for the last year and a half. It's been on Zoom, so this is a pleasure and an honor to be able to be here to talk with you. Can you hear me okay? I do come to talk again about the meeting that you did put together for us with your deputy chief. I certainly appreciate that. And one of the resolutions and one of the problem solves that we came up with was the fact that no victim, no crime, that people need to report. And I've heard continually from the commission, from the chief, from the OIG, that you want people to come in and report and not to be intimidated and not to be afraid, that their civil rights are important just as much as the violators. And unfortunately, people feel the no victim, no crime, people feel intimidated to come in and report their abuse because of the positions and the people that are being held on the CPABs. The Church of Scientology does have a seat at that table, and many of the victims are very intimidated. They feel that in the past and now,
Thank you. My name is Thank you. My name is Alexi, and I'm a street medic and mental health crisis responder. I've been at the protest nearly every day over the last 9 days, providing care to people who've been brutalized by various law enforcement agencies. I've been tear gassed, I've been beaten with batons, I've been kettled and then shot at with less than lethal rounds while trying to treat people who were brutalized by law enforcement. Not once have I seen protesters initiate any of the violence. Every single time, every single day, it was law enforcement that escalated. I wasn't alone. Medics and other peacekeepers, people who showed up with me to protect lives, were targeted again and again. In just my own circle, multiple friends were shot with rubber bullets or foam rounds. One took a flash grenade to the head. Another was hit twice. Another was shot 3 times. One friend was so injured so badly that they're still out of work. And this targeting isn't new either. One of the friends who was shot 3 times at one protest last week was also brutalized during the 2020 George Floyd protests and is currently in a lawsuit against LAPD. Wow. The same pattern is repeating itself, but it's getting worse. The tactics have become more violent, more aggressive, and more indiscriminate. So when others come into this meeting and try to paint the protesters as the violent ones, I would like to be very, very clear that it's a lie. That lie is being used to justify brutality against people who are unarmed, non-violent, and trying to save lives. LAPD has not only targeted people, they've also been abusing animals in the process. I've seen officers use horses to charge peaceful crowds, forcing them through clouds of tear gas and into people holding signs and medic kits. That's not public safety. That's a state-sanctioned attack. You claim to provide oversight, so I would like to know, where is the oversight? You signed off on a $14 million campaign of suppression. You've looked the other way while LAPD shares surveillance data with ICE. You've watched us bleed and done nothing. You're not neutral. When you allow this to happen, you prove it with your silence or with votes. You are complicit. We need accountability. We need truth, and we need this commission to stop shielding LAPD from consequences. Thank you very much.
Before we move on to the next speaker, can I just have whoever just called in to reach out to either the Inspector General's office to inform.
So you can investigate yourselves.
And if anyone else listening that have similar complaints, please reach out to them. Thank you.
The next speaker is Gigi.
Good morning. I want to echo what Audit said. Thank you for allowing that permitted protest for the First Amendment on L. Ron Hubbard Way. Thank you, Chief McDonald. Thank you, Commission, for that. The protest, it was amazing. No incidences. But the day before, I had to deal with, well, I believe you guys were in TAC alert. Scientology called the police on me for trespassing when I was just in the public who said that we could do it the day earlier because it was on Father's Day, it was a Sunday. That's the only way we could get the porta potty there. So we had, Sergeant Corwin's permission, and I was there to, supervise, watch, put it in the right place. And I got harassed by 3, men on bikes trying to intimidate me. And I chose myself not to call you guys because you guys are overwhelmed with everything going on. And I figured if I did, usually it takes forever for LAPD to show up. But within 5 minutes, there were 2 cars showing up. There was a sergeant and 2 officers. And according to this card that I got that says, no crime, no trespass, no obstruction of sidewalk, porta potty allowed and permitted. I believe not only were they trying to fight against the porta potty being there, they were trying to trespass me on the public easement. I never stepped foot on their property. I wasn't hanging out just standing on the sidewalk. I was on the public easement, and they were trying to trespass me. They also were trying, Scientology was trying to fish for my information, and they were trying to get the officers there to get my information and require me, who committed no crime, to identify myself. I'm not a local, so I do not know the specific laws about that, but where I'm from, you have to be detained or commit a crime or reasonable suspicion that you committed a crime. But I'm wondering if you're on TAC alert, how come Sergeant Dressing 38439, Officer Salas 41537, and Officer Ramirez 45684, why did they come right away within 5 minutes when Scientology called? I wish that you guys would stop this relationship that is going on between LAPD and Scientology. I don't want you guys to just pop up and take my side. I want you guys to be neutral. There's supposed to be neutrality in policing. And again, like when I've been calling Zoom for a long time, and this is the first time I've been able to speak since October because you guys do not do the Zoom calls like you should. So I appreciate how you're doing back and forth. But can you please in the future do Zoom calls like you're doing today and let the people on Zoom talk more? Thank you.
Amen.
Next we have Riley. Riley, you're on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, hi, yes. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Minutes?
Thank you. First, I would like to start by addressing many of the people who spoke before me who are actively calling on the police department to be more violent against protesters. We do have a First Amendment right in this country to dissent, to assemble, to speak our minds. And what the protesters are doing are protecting their families. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit emotional because what we've seen is people kidnapping mothers, fathers, and children off the street. And the police department is choosing to target people who are defending themselves, defending their families, instead of intervening in kidnappings. These people have no warrants, they're masked, they refuse to identify themselves. They're taking people from jobs, from restaurants, supermarkets, school graduations. And the LAPD and the commission is instead choosing to vilify protesters who are practicing their rights to protect themselves and to protect their families. What the police should be doing is protecting our citizens. My coworkers, my friends are afraid to go out, not because of the protesters, but because I'm roaming the streets, uncontrolled. And the police department is doing nothing. Nothing. You say you're not collaborating with them, but you're not helping anyone.
What's going on? I'll show you right by the metal detector. Right here. I have to go too.
We all